Picture this, folks. The United States in the era of Prohibition, a time of jazz, gangsters, and illegal speakeasies. But in this somber backdrop of the temperance movement, a curious piece of art emerges. A map, a love letter to alcohol, a delightful resistance against the temperance wave. This special map, my friends, is not a guide to sobriety, but a celebration of libations and intoxication. Its creator, a Houston architect by the name of H.J. Lawrence, published it 2 years before the end of Prohibition. Now this map, named Map Showing the Isle of Pleasure, was brimming with cocktails, liquor brands, and drunken slang, each crafting a fantastical geography of inebriation. And the most curious part of all this? Oh, you'll be poring over the details soon enough. What's up, my amazing and curious folks? Ready for another round of intriguing tales and mind-boggling curiosities? I'm your host, Cesar, always on the hunt for the extraordinary and the unfathomable. And joining me today is my ever-insightful companion, Sonia.
Hey there, everyone. Ready to dive deep into today's curiosity?
If you're loving our podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated on our daily episodes. Remember, we're here at 10, 14, and 20 hours, taking you on a journey through the annals of intrigue and wonder. So stay tuned, and let's unravel today's mystery together. Diving deeper into this fascinating era, the temperance movement had an intriguing tool in its armory: cartography. To the layman, a map is merely a depiction of geographical entities, but in this context it was a tapestry of morality and sobriety, painted with the hues of warning and promise.
A map to promote sobriety? How did that work?
Imagine a map where the terrain wasn't marked by mountains or rivers, but by the trials and tribulations of the journey towards sobriety. The path is fraught with dangerous pitfalls like Cape Despair and Wine Island. It's quite the perilous journey, but the destination is a beacon of hope, with places such as the Gulf of Reform, Repentance Kingdom, and Contentment Province.
Those names sure sound like they're out of a fantasy novel. Any other examples?
Absolutely. One such grotesque journey was depicted by the Black Valley Railroad, a train ride through the dark side of inebriation. The train, labeled Distillery, made stops at places such as Drunkard's Curve, Beggarstown, Gamblersville, even Robber's Den and Prisonton, finally ending at destruction.
That's quite a stark portrayal, but what about this other map you mentioned, the one celebrating alcohol?
Ah, the counterpoint to the temperance map, an anti-temperance map, if you will. This map, named Map Showing the Isle of Pleasure, followed a similar method but with a twist. Instead of discouraging alcohol, it celebrated it. This map was brimming with cocktails, liquor brands, and drunken slang, each detailing a geography of inebriation. For instance, the map depicted a skull-shaped island named the State of Inebriation, surrounded by waters named Whiskey Strait, Gulp Stream, and Rumrow, a cartographic testament to the delights of drink. Here's an interesting tidbit about the Isle of Pleasure map. It was a work of art created by Houston architect H.J. Lawrence in 1931, just 2 years before the end of Prohibition. Prohibition, as you may know, was a period from 1920 to 1933 when the production, import, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages was outlawed nationwide. It was in many ways the culmination of the temperance movement.
I didn't know that, but I've heard that Prohibition had some unintended consequences.
You're absolutely right. While Prohibition did reduce drinking, it didn't eliminate it. Meanwhile, it created huge business opportunities for the mafia and other criminal organizations, leading to a significant rise in crime levels. The social cost of Prohibition eventually began to outweigh the benefits. So much so that the 18th Amendment, which instituted the alcohol ban, is depicted as a sinking ship on the map, with Volstead, the congressman who enacted the amendment, clinging to one of its masts.
What a vivid picture that paints. Were there any other interesting details on the map?
Indeed, there were. The scale of the map was actually a measurement for alcohol pours. Now let's talk about the kind of cocktails that were popular during Prohibition. Ever heard of an angel's kiss? It's a layered cocktail with 1.5 ounce each of creme de cacao, heavy cream, and brandy. Then there's the Blue Moon, a blend of crushed ice, vodka, blue curacao, whipping cream, vanilla-flavored syrup, fresh orange juice, and cointreau. A delightful concoction to enjoy while studying the map, don't you think? Continuing with the cocktail recipes, the Bronx Express is a delightful combination of gin, red vermouth, orange juice, and a dash of Pernod. Then there's the Crest of the Wave, which is 1 part gin, half part Italian vermouth with a dash of Angostura bitters and a few drops of creme de menthe, garnished with a peppermint cherry.
Hold on a second. These drinks sound absolutely delicious, but also a bit complicated. I can't help but wonder how people managed to get all these specific ingredients and mix these cocktails during Prohibition, when alcohol was illegal.
That's an astute observation. These recipes indeed indicate a certain level of sophistication and access to a variety of ingredients. It's a testament to how resourceful individuals can become when they really want something. Despite the ban, the cocktail culture not only survived but thrived, with speakeasies and secret bars providing a space for these drink concoctions. People had to become creative, and that's how we got some of these fascinating cocktail recipes. Now, where was I? Ah yes, the eye-opener, aptly named as it includes dark rum, orange curacao, apricot liqueur, grenadine, and an egg yolk. Quite an eye-opener, wouldn't you say? Let's move on to the Paul Jones cocktail, which is an intriguing mix of muddled cucumber, minted, simple syrup, Pimm's, Grand Marnier, and Maker's 46. And then there's the Pink Lady, a simple but delightful blend of gin, grenadine, and an egg white, garnished with a cherry.
You know, this talk of cocktails reminds me of a story from my childhood. I grew up in a small town in Pernambuco, and we didn't have a lot of these fancy cocktail ingredients. But that didn't stop my grandmother. She was known throughout the town for her special lemonade. It was a secret recipe, passed down from her grandmother.
Oh really? What made the lemonade so special?
Well, it had a certain kick that no other lemonade in town had. Years later, she revealed to me the secret ingredient was a bit of ginger and a splash of honey. It wasn't a cocktail, but it was our little luxury, our little version of sophistication in a glass. Now, when I hear about all these elaborate cocktail recipes, I can't help but think back to my grandmother's lemonade. It's funny how even the simplest of drinks can hold such precious memories.
What a beautiful memory. It just goes to show you don't need fancy ingredients to make a drink special. Sometimes it's the love and the story behind it that make it truly unique. Now back to our Prohibition-era cocktails, we have the Planter's Punch, a fruity rum drink with a mix of dark rum, fresh juices, grenadine, sugar syrup, and Angostura bitters. Moving along, we've got the White Mule. This refreshing cocktail starts with a tea base, blending white tea leaves, chopped lemongrass, and dried peach. The cocktail itself includes vodka, agave nectar, and ginger beer.
It's interesting to see tea being used as a base for a cocktail. Does that happen often?
It's not that common, but tea can add a unique depth and complexity to a cocktail, particularly white tea since it has such a subtle and delicate flavor.
And what about this agave nectar? Isn't that typically used in tequila?
Yes, you're right. Agave nectar is a sweetener produced from the agave plant, which is also the source of tequila. It's used in cocktails as an alternative to sugar syrup, as it gives a different kind of sweetness.
Now, what's this about whiskey brands? It sounds like there are so many.
Oh, there are countless whiskey brands out there, each with its own character and flavor profile. For instance, there's Black and White, a blended Scotch whiskey that was even featured in a James Bond novel and film.
Anything else of intriguing note?
Well, there's Echo Spring, a Kentucky straight bourbon created by the Murphy Barber Distillery, and Green River, which was marketed as the whiskey without the headache. Then there's Old Crow, said to have been a favorite of Mark Twain and Hunter S. Thompson.
These names are so colorful and full of history. It's fascinating.
So moving on, we have some fascinating slang terms that were commonly used during this period. For example, the term blind pig was used to describe a lower-class establishment that found a way around alcohol laws by charging customers to see an attraction, like a blind pig, and then offering a complimentary drink.
That's clever. It's like they were selling an experience, with the drink being just a part of it. That way they weren't technically breaking the law.
Exactly. Another interesting term is Mountain Dew, which was a synonym for high-proof spirits distilled without permission often in secluded mountainous regions.
It's surprising how people found ways to keep consuming alcohol, even with all the restrictions. It really shows how resourceful humans can be.
It indeed does. And then there are drinking songs, like Father Dear Father and Little Brown Jug. These were popular tunes that people used to sing in the bars, often telling stories about the love for alcohol.
It's fascinating how alcohol and the culture around it permeated so many areas of life, even music. It's like a reflection of society at the time.
As we delve deeper into the world of alcohol during Prohibition, it's important to consider the impact it had on society. For instance, studies conducted in the early 20s showed an increase in burglary, homicide, assault and battery, and drug addiction rates.
That's a sobering thought. The intention was to curb alcohol consumption, but it seems like it led to other societal problems.
Exactly. It's a clear example of the law of unintended consequences. On a lighter note, another interesting tidbit from this era is the popularity of an anise-flavored spirit called Ojin, especially in New Orleans.
Anise-flavored, you say? That must have been quite distinct.
It was, and it was especially popular during Mardi Gras. The spirit was originally from a village in Spain, but the distillery ceased production at some point in the mid-20th century.
It's interesting how certain drinks become linked with cultural celebrations, like eggnog during Christmas, for instance.
You nailed it. And speaking of eggnog, there's also a traditional U.S. Christmastime cocktail called Tom and Jerry. The names might remind you of a certain animated cat and mouse duo.
I can't help but wonder if the creators of the cartoon were fans of the cocktail. It's fascinating how these little pieces of history intertwine.
So, we've journeyed through the Prohibition era, a time of temperance maps, anti-temperance maps, and a love letter to alcohol etched onto a map. We've discovered how a seemingly dry law led to a sea of creativity and resilience as people navigated the tides of prohibition. As the saying goes, where there's a will, there's a way. Or in this case, where there's a will, there's a whiskey.
Absolutely. It's been fascinating to uncover all these historical tidbits. And if you found this episode as intriguing as we did, don't forget to blast that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and spread the word by sharing this episode with your friends. Your support helps us bring more such stories to light.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you all for tuning in to Curiosity Wonderland and joining us on this intoxicating historical journey. Stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Until then, take care and goodbye.
Our journey today was inspired by an article titled, "This Prohibition-Era Map is a Love Letter to Alcohol," written by Frank Jacobs and published on Atlas Obscura on December 22, 2023. The full URL is in the video description if you want to delve deeper into the subject. All right, now I'm off.